I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we sit, the Boonwurrung Nation of the Kulin people, and to pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. And when we hear words like that, it's important to try and understand the Indigenous perspective on life in Australia, on life today. And that, to me, is what Reconciliation Week is all about. And it starts with understanding, and it starts with trying to see another person's point of view. And in that respect, I'd like to thank Leila for her fascinating talk this morning, from which we've learned so much. It sounds to me that it might have been a loss to the world of music or to the world of athletics, but your journey has been a great gain to the world of media, and in particular to our world of education. And I think you've given us many things about which to think, and many aspects of your life that can help us imagine what it is like to grow up as Indigenous in Australia. You know, in some respects, it is easy for us as Jewish people to relate to Indigenous people. There is a lot that we have in common. We have long memories. We have a culture that goes back generations, which we strive to maintain and to pass on to those who come in the future. We have been persecuted. We have suffered from others who've made us unwelcome. We have a deep connection to a land. And that deep connection we renew regularly. We say Lashana Haba Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. And because we've maintained that connection, we have merited to return to our land. But there is a limit to how far the comparisons can go. We have memories. We go back to voices of previous generations for about 3,500 years. But Aboriginal Australians trace their culture back to the tens of thousands of years. And today, our situations are very different. We are fortunate to live comfortable lives, but for many Indigenous Australians, their fate is on a very different socio-economic level, with very different health outcomes, with a large proportion of the population incarcerated. Their situation today is very different from ours. So our task is to use those things that link us and build from that to those areas where we differ, where we have to work harder to imagine life for Aboriginals. And we have to work harder to bring about reconciliation. It seems to me, as somebody who's come from across the seas to Australia, that in the last few years in particular, there have been huge strides. Australia is a country committed to reconciliation, committed to closing the gap, committed to walking together. And yet, those goals are far away from completion. What we need to do today, what we need to do this week of reconciliation, but more than that, what we need to do at all times is to understand the lives and the struggles of our Indigenous brothers and sisters, and through that, we can walk ever closer together until the day that we really will walk together, the time of true reconciliation. Thank you very much.